Hello everyone. I hope I am audible to all of you. Now, in this session, what we are going to do is to look at the psychometric analysis of the examiner's mind, how the actual examination is set, how the examiner set the question paper, their four options, and why only objective type of question papers and options are selected. I'm not going to tell you in depth here what is this all about, but I will give you a brief overview of what psychometric analysis is. Now, when we say this, the traps or distractors the examiner sets in the question paper. So, when you approach the examination hall with a fresh mind and you see the question paper, you see in the beginning that you were fully confident about your preparation. You were in good mood. You tried to avoid some unnecessary things, talkings with peer, and many other things. So when you are actually sitting in the examination hall and you receive your paper, so at that moment, you are not just facing the paper. You are actually facing an examiner who is thinking like a psychologist, who is not just trying to see if you know the capital of state, river, historical date, or some economic data about the Uttarakhand state, or to say of any other examination or any other state. So what they are trying to do by asking some details and four very similar looking options. So what they try to do is to measure your temperament, your risk appetite, and your ability to filter noise from the signals. There are four options. Out of four, for most of the time, one option is correct. And when it comes in pairs, it is more or less the same case. So here is how they use psychometric knowledge to build that test. For most of the human beings, there are some shortcomings in all of us. Whether we do accept or not, we knowingly or unknowingly have some biases. So what this is known as, we call in the scientific language as the cognitive heuristics. So what is this cognitive heuristics in the psychometric analysis? So the examiner knows that most of the candidates rely on the shortcuts in simple terms. This shortcuts is what relatively similar to the heuristics. They recognize a familiar term in an option and assume it is true answer. And this is what most of us do the same. Because four options in the examination are so closely related that it is very difficult if you are not having 100% to take the correct answer. So what examiner does is he built four possible distractors. He built three sometimes. Four in case when none of the option is correct. They intentionally uses some keywords which are factually correct, which you in your journey of studying have somehow studied them. They are familiar to you. You are familiar with them. But they are correct only to the extent in the context of that question. According to the question. So this test, if you are thinking critically or just reacting to familiar keywords, if you pick the familiar option, you have fallen into the trap of the examiner, which you must avoid. So this is the first lesson must learn here, that you should avoid heuristic, the cognitive heuristics, जो हमारे जिसको common terms में guts बोलते हैं, feeling आ रही थी option को देख के, वो नहीं करना है इधर. Now we will look at the another variable, difficulty calibration. So what is this? This is the rhythm. How the examiner controls your emotion in the entrance hall via this question paper. So what they don't want you to feel confident. Neither they want to lose your hope. This is, says that some questions have easy weightage and some are typical. The use of this so-called difficulty indexing by interspersing easily loaded questions, they create a rhythm, the variable difficulty calibration, for which I'm calling it rhythm. Why is this? This is the important question. So psychometrically, this is done to prevent fatigue bias. They want to see how you recover after seeing a string of hard questions. The exam is a psychological test of your resilience as much as it is a test of knowledge. Now we will look at the constructive validity. What examiner wants from you is to differentiate between someone who memorizes a book and someone who really understands the governance, the actual administration, who have command over it. They design questions that require cognitive decoupling. It is not in my introduction video, it is still not enough for you to learn the concept. What is more important is the understanding and the education part of the concept. And you will realize it. And I will show you the real mains exam question paper. Because if you will do your preparation segmented exam separately, then I believe that's not going to work very well. Because you will be unprepared at the time of main examination. Because the window is very short. And you cannot prepare for 6 papers. More than there are 8 papers, I believe, including Hindi and essay. So you should keep your preparation means oriented first and side by side covering the factual part. Now coming to our decoupling part. So why this is done? So it's because they want to force you to step away from your base memory, the rote learning. Instead, you should apply a new situation. If for instance, what could happen if suppose law X were applied to Y? Let's suppose there is law X which is applied in a given book. You have learned that this law applied only to X, but the examiner asks you a question: what happens when this X is applied to Y, the another variable? Now this is what examiner wants from you, is they are testing your execution. You cannot just recall. You need to draw that information at the right moment, and if you will not do before the battle, then you definitely going to beat. Mark my words. Now looking about the guessing factor. So a lot of gives various answers about guessing, but and you are going to lose your hard-earned marks if you come in trap of guessing. That's why there are 150 questions, and out of 150 questions, there are 4 options, and those 4 options in the category of A, B, C, and D, all of the options are evenly distributed. Let's suppose there are 40 questions A correct, 40 questions B correct, there is hardly 1 or 2 4 difference, and they are very similar. So don't go into this trap of tukke marne wala style. I don't support that, because factual data, even my logical, your mental caliber should stop you from doing that, because that's the trap. Examining know that every candidate has an intuition. We all have intuition for guessing. They want to see instead whether you apply your intuition logically or it's a blind gambling. This is where the examiner creates a set of options where the wrong answers are just random, half right, half wrong. This makes cost of a bad guess higher. It tests your risk management. Do you know when you don't know the answer, a good administration, when you don't know the good answer, a good administrator knows the limit, where to stop. Now, at last, we will look at the merit filter. What is the actual demand of the commission? The ultimate goal with which the paper is set is to ensure only the top 1% of the candidate who stands out, they should be selected. These are questions that only the top tiers candidate gets right. These questions are not the hardest in terms of facts, but they are most suitable in terms of logic. Examiner ensures that exam is not just measuring who studied the longest, but who thinks the most efficiently. This is the golden opportunity. The demand of examiner of this exam is, it is not who studied the longest, but who studied most efficiently. So, in last, I would say, your previous year question papers are mirrors. It reflects the examiner's intention to find someone who does not just hold knowledge, but hold perspective. When you see a question that feels like a trap, immediately you stop and breathe and ask yourself that examiner has activated a psychometric filter. Don't look the answer that looks right. Look for the answer that is logically consistent with the context of the question. That is the secret of winning the game. Thank you very much. Now, before closing, I would like to say a few words about my channel. Why I have started this channel. In my days when I was preparing for the UPSC, so I have gone through a lot of challenges, but with the hard years of my learning, I have come to this stage. That's the most reasonable I can do for you. Look, my content, because it's not only prepared by me. I have my colleague, Mr. Prem Rathi, who will teach you polity. Your each and every concept will be crystal clear, and you will logically take the correct answer of the examiner. That's what we promise to you. And not just polity. We will teach you in such a systematic way, so strategically, that side by side learning the factual data, you will have the solid contextual anchors to have your facts solidified. But what we are doing, it demands a lot of patience, our time, energy, and in life in general, everyone, if we can't have a meal for a 1 or 2 times, so there's no point of doing something for charity. And mind you, there is nothing called as free lunch in this world. The so-called people who say that they are giving free material, they are not. If you try to waste your time, energy you spend on the free material, what they're offering you is mundane things, which you can find from the printed notebooks, and you can study yourself, because nothing is as such that human mind cannot grasp or understand by engaging in self-learning. That's the beauty of human mind. But this is the one frustration which I got from the world of YouTube in the name of free content. Yeah, you know, freaking you, because they think that we concept. But I believe people are most advanced than them. People know what's good for them. And I'm not saying that you will watch only my video. No, if you find something better, definitely go there. I'm not stopping any one of you. But at last I would say, look at our content and you will realize yourself. Then you will sit in the real examination and then you will see the actual questions. And you have the sweat before the battle. And you get this hard work. And this for hard work, at least we need some. And instead of, if we look at the industry, they are charging very hefty fees. But we have kept the fees in just pennies. And you better know whether the fees is reasonable or not. So with this, I hope if someone who is really feeling financial difficulties, of course we will try to change. It's not something written on the stone, because I am the champion of free education as well. But I would again say it is not free. It takes your time, your energy, your patience, your hope, your trust. That's all it takes. And it's more than money, by the way. So with this, I would conclude this lecture. Thank you very much. Good evening. See you in the detailed video of the mains question, which I would be uploading on my channel, the Uttar PCS. It's you, I would say, be healthy. Good evening. Thank you very much.